In this bank up here, good bass bank. Got him? Yes. You like that? Did you get that on GoPro?
Yeah.
So you like how I said that and 60 seconds later?
That's a big fish.
It is. You want him to know anything?
I'm good. Feel free to double up though.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Putting the pressure on. That's a big smallmouth. You definitely need a few pictures of that one.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Bum 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 ba ba bum bam 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 bam. Action. Finally. I mean, the things that I've done it's just years of that. Somehow not outweighed by headphones and hats. I didn't catch a muskie in this shirt, but someone close to me, but I know a guy, Steve. Big ups to Steve. Book your muskie trip, conventional or fly rod. Book your trout trip. Like and subscribe. That's not something I do very regularly, but yeah, go ahead and do that. And I was wearing this shirt under a sun shirt. Still rocking my, I'm not even sure if you call it a proof. I got like 3 or 4 of each color with the Ellis Ward Guide Service logo, the deer antler and all that. Not saying that I was the first one to do it, but I don't know. Those guys really, you know where that started, and that's Luke Todd who did that one. He also did the Arex hook design. Feels kind of name droppy, even though like Luke's in his 20s. Boy, I didn't sleep enough last night, so I can kind of tell that my brain isn't working because I suck. No, we're not going to do that. I mean, I'm literally looking this up, so I don't know why this is any better. I I do just kind of want to free ball it, and we're not going to do it. I'm not going to look it up, and I'm going to remember his name. It's been like 3 or 4 years all of a sudden. Anyways, this was his eye of, you know, some combination of mallard and deer and brown trout. I mean, that's sick. We're just gonna keep moving. We'll get there. We'll get there. I honestly, if you worry about people who care about things like, you know, remembering who they are or like anything about them, I know he has a daughter. I know he moved into the woodworking, like he got out. He did the shift, getting out of the rat race. Anyways, whew. Percentage of me tangenting hard and fast relative to last night's sleep. There's that correlation. There is a high R squared, and if you have a correction there, I encourage you to yourself. Even though at the same time I'm probably, if you're watching this and you have a correction to that, I'm guessing we would get along. Well, I don't know if you're watching this in general. I think that outside of doing the like specific fly tying tutorials, which is always quite interesting to see some of the, I'm tying and talking at the same time. I'm finishing up a swim bug order, and I said, you know what? Let's let it rip. Let the brain get that exhaust pipe out and tack it on, and just let it rip like one of those Jeeps that you can drive into the water and the pipe's sticking out, so it's like, it looks like it's not going to go well, but actually you're okay, because this thing's not normal. It ain't street legal, I'll tell you that much. Finishing some swim bug orders here. Yeah, if you paid me $20 right now, I could probably remember what I was talking about a few minutes ago, but I will say it's somewhat unimportant. No, I just figured, let's go. Finishing up a swim bug order. It's just a pile. I mean, thank you, Brian. Also, shout out Dan. Shout out everybody, man, for getting some of the divorce guide specials is what we have jokingly referred to this relatively simple fly that he fishes, and he made sure to let me know that he is in fact fishing other flies. For the sake of this being a time video, which you can't see anything. You know, what am I doing with my hands? Maybe you can see a little bit. I've just been production tying these, and I said, hey, I'm gonna finish this tonight. But Dan fishes that simple 4-inch, 4+inch, sort of white with some gold offset. Little flash, nothing crazy. Some bucktail, some EP. To the point where, every 18 months he's getting a refill of really not that many, and has been vocal that, you go into the fly box, right? I have 4 fly boxes. I should get a bugger barn. I could get one from John at Tailwaters. It's becoming a it's been a problem, honestly, the fly box situation. But here's the thing. I don't need this catalog, right? Because I need 4, and one of them is completely buried in one of the fly boxes that I will open 4 times, and just all the other ones 4 times too. And then I finally find that one I was looking for, and for sure that's going to be the one that we're going to. It's confidence. That's all there is to it. Some of it, I'm looking at different stuff. How the angler's casting. Some people just gravitate towards something. All right, we're going to switch views for you. Okay, and while I could not be more in love with that shirt, it just doesn't, the contrast is brutal. So, maybe put a little thought into your product, Dave. How about that? Can someone get me new jaws? All right, we are back. We are back and fully ripping. What was I doing? Oh yeah, tying some flies. Yeah, Dan's made a point to say, I do fish other flies. And then he's also made a point to say, not really though. So on a serious note, Steve, first time fishing for muskies. Bags of 37 on a big ass lure, chocolate milk. I could have talked about this, I'm not sure, but that was fun. Couple days out. For the uninitiated, yeah, the headwaters here, despite what you may hear, or the headwaters here, despite what you, we got comfortable temperatures here in the summer. So book your trip for the fall and get here in Mouse. What is everyone doing? Now I just gave shouts outs to Ryan on the most recent recording of the Articulate Fly podcast, Fishing Report, East Tennessee. But shout out Ryan's daughters, really. That's really the most important part of this podcast. Your support is why I'm here, honestly. Man, Ryan fished hard. And we got some good eats. Missed a couple fish. That's part of the deal. Haven't seen him in a couple years. It's not, there's days where it sucks. Where, and this is just, it's just fishing. It's pretty rare that we don't have, we can't find something going on. But, bookend to bookend. But every once in a while, if there's, let's say that we got 3 people in the boat, right? And the 2 people, we got 2 anglers and me. And it's a giant sun and it's 10 degrees colder than the day before and it's windy. I don't actually know what's better. That or you just have beginners. Because with the situation where you have experienced folks, and specifically experienced with trout and, God forbid, experienced in the tailwater game too, even worse, you know, fishing lures or streamers, it's like, what are we doing? We're just working for when that bite window cracks open, and we absolutely know. It's not even, is there a fish and it's going to eat? It's like, they're not going to eat, and they might at some point, and we still need to be fishing just as hard. And the thing with those days is that you have to be trying harder, and you get less feedback. And I'm sure there's a metaphor for life somewhere in there, but I guess we didn't fully encounter that. And God, there is one fish. We have his number, just maybe 6 of the 7 digits. Yeah, move the unit and just, man. Cast was great. There's some spots where I don't want to build up. Like, we're coming up to, it's not just a zone. And even the zones, it's like, how much do I want to say, okay, before it was okay to do whatever you were doing, but now, and for only the next 75 to 125 yards, you need to be good at fishing and also, you know, retrieving and casting and decision making, right? I guess that's all fishing, but please don't get hung up at this tree that we're passing right now, because in 20 feet, we have a shot at 2 spots, and there's an overhanging bush above the spot. There's also, I'm going under trees. We're also dealing with some backcast obstacles, so like the pressure's on, and don't burn a cast into this water that I'm not even interested in it. They aren't there. It's not even it's the fish we're looking for isn't there. It's right there. And we just need 2 good casts right there. And then you get 2 good casts in there, and then we don't see anything. That's been quite rare, honestly, with these types of spots. But what is more the case is that I do apply some of that pressure, and the anglers absolutely crumble. I mean, to steal, God, the FedEx Kinko's commercial from back in the day. FedEx office. They're interviewing, yeah, you know, they have this game plan for this big, you know, conference or meeting. Sally? Yeah? You gonna be there, fold like a lawn chair? Gotcha. So it's just like, please, all you have to do is keep it together. Keep it together. Make a good cast. Don't get hung up. Especially don't put casts in before we need to. Don't get hung up 15 feet upstream of the spot. don't get hung up where even if I dropped anchor immediately, retrieved your line, put a new fly on, had you cooking again as fast as possible, which I'll toot my own horn, is pretty darn fast. It's just not physically possible because of where you just got hung up and current speed. And if you got hung up in the tree that's right before where we should be casting. Is anyone picking up what I'm putting down? We're not going to be able to hit that spot. And guess which tree seems to have a magnet for flies? Yes, you guessed it. Or maybe you didn't. That tree that is 15 feet upstream, and also the one in the back cast. Just look behind you before you cast. Just a quick little what's up. I did have a trip. This was actually in the spring with a couple guys that one's, I would call him a regular. Haven't seen him in a minute. Probably out there in the backyard just trying to put an 8-aught into an oak stump or something. Breaking off 30-pound line on a strip set. Whipping himself. He's got a car battery hooked up. Playing, home movies of his dad yelling at him. Anyways, him and his friend, who hadn't really done much trout fishing before, but pretty fishy guy, and just really nice, and both of them, good dudes, and have a sense of humor. And this was just one of those days. It was brutal. It sucked. We got some risers. We got, new guy hit some rising fish, which is always cool. First fish on dry fly. And we got a bunch. And we did end up, homeboy ended up with I think 22, 23. Could have been, yeah, I think it was 22, 23. Turns into a 2-foot fish very quickly. Might have got 26. Oh yeah, big post spawner. That was 26, 27 maybe. I don't know, look at his hands. He's a pretty big dude. I'm not saying that's 30, but it is one of those fish, right? It's 22 inches. Big brown trout. Oh God, bottom of the 9th too. Well, I was telling him about, this is also one of the ancillary benefits, we'll call it, of these days is that you get jokes, you get stories, most of the time, if you're of the mind to realize that we should be in a good mood here, because the fishing's not going to put anyone in a good mood, so let's control what we can control, right? There's a good life metaphor right there. So I'm telling about my sweet late neighbor, Jenny. Shout out, Jenny. She would come over. This is when I first moved here, and her husband had died, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years prior to that. This was now 4+ years ago. And her husband, check that. So she would you know, she'd been alone, and she has this little dog that just, oof, kind of a hard one to look at. You know, it had the tongue. It was a little dog. I don't even know the name of it. Some sort of palm. It's a pomfret. That's pretty fucking good. And it had the tongue hanging out the side, and I'm sure it was, you know, some varying degree of incontinence, or at least working on it. And oh God, it would eat this pate. The combination of stuff was just a little unsettling, I guess, is where I'm going. Now, she did teach me a pretty cool trick, which is that when you have the partially dried dog pate that it didn't want to eat, instead of throwing that gross stuff into the garbage, you dump it down the toilet and flush it. Who knew? So Jenny would just roll in and give me a jug of iced tea and some fried chicken. 7 p.m. A couple days later, 11 a.m. Just no knock. Brought me donuts. Like 3 donuts in a bag. Super sweet. I brought over, you know, she was getting pretty old pretty fast, and I would bring over saddles that I dyed and bucktails, and I explained to her what I was doing, and this is, you know, things were getting going, but it was still early. And she looked at me and goes, so you're playing. That's what you're doing. And, you know, unlike other people who might say that in a condescending way, there is this I'm not, you know, this mid to late 80s woman looking at me saying, like, this is, yeah, you're working, but this is, you love doing this. That's what when she goes, you're playing. And that's just, yeah, that's resonated quite strongly with me. One day I was out back, forgive me if I've told this, but I'm not sure if I have. I was out back and I heard, I really think I must have told this recently. I hear, yeah, I hear screeching. I'm not gonna burn this now. All right, we're gonna do some research. So I was talking with my boys on that junk day. And, you know, Jenny was here since, I forget the name of the airline. I did this exact same thing with them. Trans, easy, everyone. T, things are, the gears are clunking around up there. TWA, I think so. The major airline, she was did call center, and she would take breaks and go up to Boone Lake and be with all of her, you know, call center girlfriends, and they would go up there at lunch, and right here, my boy jumps in and goes, play a quick game of whose dick is in my mouth. that might have been, this is my old sweet neighbor. I'm trying to, you know, pass on these fond memories of how this woman will go up in her, with her secretary-esque call center friends, and then come back to work smelling like the lake. And yeah, she was great. Sad to see her get so old so quickly. But you know, I was talking about her like that, and then he drops that hypothetically she was playing a game of whose dick is in my mouth. Oh man, you can't just swing for the fences with inappropriate. But I don't know, when there's timing and a little bit of creativity involved, and really when you, I think part of that is it's tough to do this. I'm not talking about like people writing jokes or in general comedy, but just interpersonal communication and finding where that line is. Like, it is funny to step over it, but you have to do it in a way. There's just, I don't know. There's maybe it's just whether people get along or have the same sense of humor. Because even with the same sense of humor, it's like that is stepping so far out of bounds. Like, he could have stepped out of bounds not as far, and it would have been way, way, way less funny. And so you hit whatever inflection point where it's just so clearly off the mark and so vastly inappropriate to be speaking of this sweet old lady like that. This is actually, I've completely destroyed at least 2 or 3 of this dude's jokes, so my bad. I do think that was cool. She would go up to Watauga in a pontoon boat with her husband and just troll, like play a game of whose cock is in my mouth. Get lake trout and grill them on the boat, and it's just, I don't know, you know, it's in the 60s or 70s, like it just sounds like what you want to hear about, you know. I took her, I think, dude, this was the last time, it was for sure was. She was on the lake. Took her down to Boone Lake in the drift boat, and just, at this point, she was pretty unsteady on her feet. And it was very cool. We were going through half of a yellow light with like 3 cars around us, and she made some remark about how it must be like Christmas. Like, is it Christmas Eve or something? Because the metropolitan, the bustling, like it was so busy. I think that's where she was driving at, or she was, you know, totally gone at that point. I don't know. But took her out, just went around in a few circles with the drift boat and the trolling motor. I think I probably showed off a little bit, caught a couple fish. It's not a big deal, but yeah, it was almost like watching my daughter. Like, she was pumped. That was cool. I haven't thought about that in a long time. Sometimes it is important to say, oh yeah, there's good shit out there. Because otherwise, I mean, if you pay attention to, I don't know, what's in front of you, God forbid, what's in your own head, like what you did last week, a month ago, your relationships, your job, the state of the world. Take your rapidly aging neighbor down to the lake for 45 minutes. I guess that's what I'm saying. Or start doing hard drugs. I mean, real, like, change stuff about where you are without actually changing anything. Type of hard drug, and like a combination too. So it's not just this, it's not just that, it's this and that, and it's a lot of both. I think those are the only two options. Take your old neighbor down to the lake for less than an hour, or do a combination of mushrooms and fentanyl. I chose the former, but I'm not going to sit here and say that was the right move. So that's really one for everyone to, to each their own. We'll take it all the way back. We all have confidence flies, right? Why do you like yellow? Well, because Kaylee Gallup talked about it one time, and then I went out and fished yellow really hard, and then big shocker, I caught some trout, and then I kept fishing that color, and then I kept catching more trout, so I never fished anything else. What if he just said chartreuse? Well, then things might be different. I couldn't be more on the yellow train. I think I've discussed at length my different efforts to hide it. Honestly, though, I'm going to walk that back immediately and entirely. I'm on the spectrum big time. So I don't like yellow. There's some barring in that rabbit for. Ooh, this is. Ooh. Oh, you dirty. Time to order a new one of these. This. Not joking. Just licking the battery and normally works. I mean, we're conducting electricity here. I have this Alone Fire 365. It's the wavelength. 365 nanometers. 10 watt. I think they make a 12. This 10 is, sometimes if you just do it with like a little slower with some confidence. I think that 4 years is the limit. And I don't know, I could just get a new battery. But you can just listen to it unscrewing. It's a nightmare. Yeah, so volunteer or kill yourself with drugs. Seems like a pretty reasonable something. I did notice on this last episode of The Articulate Fly, My apologies, not really. You'll be fine, Marv. But yeah, I could just tell it was part of the reason why I was just like, whatever, dude, just clear some of your head out here, you know? Let folks know that it's all over for everyone, and you should at least continue to try to fix technology. I mean, I may as well. If you can fix a piece in electronic, that's why I'm apologizing for Marv. I could just tell how off I was, as I can here, but we're fully ripping. We'll put it back on the charger that is supposed to light up red when this is actually conducting and charging, and it just doesn't anymore. All right. I think it's probably something vastly different than anything that I might imagine it is. Like, what is this? I had to fix a reel. You want to do some head carving? Chop some heads? I had like a close-up of me fixing this bait caster. Fixing is tough. Rigging it. Maybe doing like chopped and screwed is really I think it was better. It was different afterwards. I wouldn't say it was fixed. But there was a piece on this. It's on the Shimano. I talked about this already. The Tranex. So it was a little upsetting that it was seizing up. We ended up, I did some fixes midday, which I gotta be honest, you want to talk about guide points? Your musky baitcaster reel seizes up, unfixably seizing up, and you break out tools on the boat and fix it. Come on. All right, I'm not going to do that. That's insane. I do like to carve with the drunks and the swim bug. I like to carve, I just go like, oh, this is a fly tying tutorial, which it is. This is a tying video in and around the swim bug. And you're just not going to see any of it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Can we stay in focus? Are we going to care if we don't? But yeah, I like to make sure that it's even by going upside down and coming like this. If you do it in the vise, you're doing and then inevitably it is not. So just take it out and just go straight on and still be wrong, but at least do it in a different way. That is probably the biggest takeaway have intention and have good intentions and act intentionally, now there's some specificity there. Make decisions and act on those decisions intentionally, and you will still fail, but you will do so in your own way and in a way that you chose to fail. Does that make sense? So on the reel, I have this discussion quite frequently. Do we fish closer to the boat? How close to the boat do we fish? The world may never know. I'm a proponent of fishing close to the boat because of the number of fish, the number of good fish that I have sold at the boat. And if I haven't made myself clear, figure eight your trout. Go ahead and figure eight your trout. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna want you to go ahead and figure eight that trout. Dip it. Yelling at people. Dip it. Going, what the fuck? Freaking out because the trout's right next to the boat and thinking, well, that sucks, it's over. And I'm just yelling, dip it. Yelling, dip the tip. Get him on the 8, dip it. They're like, this is my 6th hour of fly fishing. Fucking dip it. So do we have Jesus, do we have is it better to have more shots? Is it better to have more shots and retrieve less to the boat versus fewer shots? Because by default you have fewer shots when you are retrieving all the way to the boat. And man, I'm just gonna say, if you are a bank banger, if you're a bank banger, stop. So part of me, you know, making all of this somewhat entertaining for myself and saying things like fail in your own way and do so creatively or whatever. I know I didn't say exactly that, so get off my case, okay? It's myself I'm quoting, not you. If I would quote you, it would sound less intelligent. Part of me, you know, saying that we should all just fail under our own control. I am being serious because I don't like to drink my own Kool-Aid, and it's just something that I haven't really had the answer for, because the math starts to get pretty crazy. Like when we're in medium speed water and we are fishing back to the boat, let's say we're 25 feet away, we can get our pencils and our calculators out. You probably want to get an eraser out. 25 feet away from the boat, and our retrieve takes a total of, let's say, 4 seconds, as opposed to 2. I'm not sure if we need all of these variables, because time and distance we just really only need to use 1. So let's just use time. If we're retrieving an extra 2 seconds to the boat, fishing to the boat every time, and we are moving at a rate of 10 feet per second, then that extra 2 seconds, we're moving 20 feet. And if we're putting a cast into a fish face, I don't think that they're coming out to eat in medium speed water if we're 10 feet away from them. I think that we need to be getting into the, between 0 and 6 feet away from them. And here's the fun part. The farther you are away from them, the longer you have to retrieve to the boat. So it really, we can continue this math problem and it will get us absolutely nowhere. Which is, I think, one of the reasons why I enjoy this, because it's I can think about this stuff and then realize that it doesn't matter. And I do think that you're pulling your fly out of the water before you've seen that fish that's even following. That's all I'm saying. I can't argue. I can't make the argument against, outside of my own experience. But that extra 2 seconds with that 10 feet per second or whatever, you are passing up. You're passing up fish faces for sure. You're missing them. But even if you hit them, right? Or even if you got that within a 6 feet window, you might have to retrieve it back to the boat to get that final. We'll just go ahead and end this with a Tommy quote. Get that final sales pitch. All right, we got 1, 2, 3. I think we only have 3 more to go. That is remarkable. Because these are all, I'll get a picture. That's not even half of it. Some of them aren't carved. Okay. Come lose some of these. Let me take that one from the top. All right. Come lose some of those with me. And do your best to take care of yourself or your neighbor. Or get that cocktail of drugs.